Doc, we need you to teach us about narcolepsy. Now this is a serious sleep disorder, probably not one that we as salespeople are going to be coaching our customers on the retail floor. But to become sleep consultants, we need to be aware of this debilitating sleep disorder. So teach us about it.
So first, let's talk about just numbers of people who have it. It's not like sleep apnea. It's not like insomnia. We see about 1 in 2,000, 1 in 3,000 people have narcolepsy.
Okay.
And there's a big depth of different grades of this narcolepsy. Some have very mild symptoms, and some of them have some very severe symptoms associated with it. But sometimes, and again, it's typically around some type of an emotional event or something like that we'll have this very severe event called cataplexy, where they literally, being presented with a laughter or some emotional event, they literally lose all muscle control and they pass out and they're on the floor.
Wow.
But then there's the mild cases of that where literally they're just sleepy in the daytime. It would look like they have insomnia. They're just sleepy in the daytime because their quality of sleep isn't very good at night. They may have some sleep paralysis where they just suddenly lose muscle control. They may have some hallucinations associated with that. So there's some very wide degree of symptoms associated around with that narcolepsy.
Okay. Now, I did some research on YouTube and found some videos that I think will help us use as an examples as we go through it. Now, the very first one is of a dancer. Obviously, she captured this herself, being a sufferer of this.
Yes.
Now, the first part of this is we see cataplexy.
Correct.
So you said that's a total loss of muscle tone. But then we see her completely go away, completely...
Yep. So she's lost that muscle control,
right.
And then she just kind of passes out, and that's that cataplexy. Remember, that's the most severe form of narcolepsy. It could be anywhere in between, but this is the one that when we think of narcolepsy, this is what we typically think of. But again, there's a lot of people out there just have narcolepsy where they're probably just having a little bit of daytime fatigue or something like that as well.
Okay. Now, this is in a controlled environment.
Sure.
This is still serious. But most of the time, and I'll show you in this next video, most of the time it can happen in public. So what's going on here? We see him going along throughout his day. This is the first time he's been out in a while.
Yeah.
Something happens and boom, he's down.
He's down. And again, that's why a lot of these people who have this severe of narcolepsy, that's probably why they stay at home, because they're afraid of literally losing all control. He would never go out by himself because he doesn't want to be in a situation where someone thinks he had a heart attack or something. So you'll see that literally as he's walking along, some emotional event happened, whether he got excited, whether he thought, whatever it was, it's that little bit of emotional event, and it's going to drive him right into cataplexy. Again, loss of muscle control, and then down they go, and they've passed out, and it looks like they're in some kind of medical emergency, when in reality they're not. They're going to wake up. They're going to do it on their own. Hopefully when they fall, they just don't injure themselves when they go down.
So why does this happen?
Yeah, so what we know about, if we think about early training associated with this, we know that during REM sleep or rapid eye movement sleep, we lose all muscle control, right? That prevents us from acting out our dreams. So people who have severe forms of narcolepsy, what'll happen is this REM sleep invades their daytime behavior. So what happens when they get associated with an exciting event or something, they immediately go into REM sleep. During REM sleep, we lose muscle control. What else do we do in REM sleep?
Right.
We have dreams. So
Yeah.
suddenly these people are not only losing muscle control, but they're having hallucinations associated with some of this as well. So a lot of them think they're either going crazy or it's just some severe event. So it's around that. But what we also know is that what causes this narcolepsy to happen in the beginning. Now, we're really not quite sure why just general narcolepsy would just, I'm fatigued in the daytime. But if we have cataplexy associated with that, we now kind of define that as an autoimmune disorder. Is what's happened is some period in their life, they've had a flu bug, and this flu bug, when their immune system goes to fight off this flu bug, it unfortunately attacks cells in the brain that are associated with wakefulness and sleep. And suddenly now sleep and REM sleep invades their daytime behavior, and now they have cataplexy associated with that.
Okay, so obviously serious doctor stuff.
Yeah.
What do we do as salespeople if we learn our customer has narcolepsy? How can we help them?
Yeah, and that conversation is probably going to go like this. They talk about symptoms of fatigue and during the daytime and not sleeping well. And when you start talking about insomnia, they may say, no, actually I have narcolepsy. narcolepsy. And that's that point you can say, wow, I understand a little bit about what's going on with narcolepsy. What I do know that is if we can kind of control your behaviors and your environment and maybe control how you go to sleep, wake up. Here's some great sleep tips that may actually help you to be able to do that. Now, from a doctor's standpoint, it's typically they do things like antidepressants and those kind of things that reduce REM sleep at night. Okay, and then they do things like maybe some stimulants to kind of keep them awake in the daytime as well. So they kind of fight it both ways, but that's what the doctors do. But we have a great opportunity to give them a sheet, say, here's what you do.
Okay. Well, obviously a very serious
Yeah.
issue, and thanks. Great tips to help us out.